Hello, we are now live. And today I'm going live with Strong Nutrients and the incredible Zana Morris, and very exciting topics to be talking about. Obviously, it's January, it's grey, it's miserable, but we are going to be talking about how to be strong in January. We're going to discuss intermittent fasting, we're going to discuss the benefits of protein, the importance of protein, why we should be taking it, why we do it. And there she is. Let's go live with Strong Nutrients. And then explaining some of the benefits of strong nutrition products, strong nutrients. Sorry, always say that wrong. Anyway, hopefully she's going to be joining us any second now. Did I do that right? Let's try again. No, that's not it. A bugger. I have clicked to go live with Strong Nutrients, and I'm not sure why she's not arriving. This is one of those feel the fear and do it anyway situations. Why is it not happening? I'm sorry, Zana. I have to accept it. So sorry, everyone. There we go. Nothing worse than a dodgy live start. But hopefully that has now worked, and hopefully you'll stay with us. Says she's unable to join. Why is that? Trying again. I'm on the Wi-Fi. Everything should be perfect. This is taking way too long. We might have to start again. I hope you all bear with us if we do. I don't know any other way to do this. Accept. I keep accepting you. I really don't know why it's not working. What should we chat about instead? It keeps saying you're unable to join. Zana, should we just start again? Oh. Apparently, I'm supposed to send it to Zana, not Strong Nutrition. Oh my God, I'm such an idiot. Right, I think we're there. Oh my God, that was just appalling. This is like my driving. It goes really well, and then suddenly just bugger it up.
Hello. No, that wasn't you buggering it up at all. That was, I'm not quite sure what happened there. When I was going through Strong, you didn't seem to be able to accept the request to join.
Oh.
Hence I jumped out and now I'm me.
Well, hello. Hopefully everyone has stayed with us. Yeah, we've got 15 or so people. We'll save this.
We've had incredible patience, and they're off making a coffee.
I know. Anyway, how are you? Happy New Year and all that.
Exactly, Happy New Year. I think we've got about a week of saying that, haven't we? And
I know.
then it feels like it's next year already.
I know. I know. You got enough like headroom on this? Don't know how to get your head up. Like,
Hang on. I don't know how it goes. I think it ends up filling the screen after doing something random,
oh,
but
okay,
can you
all
see
right.
me?
Yeah, perfect. Anyway, oh.
Breathe. This is what the chill pill's for.
Oh my God, I've been taking so many of those. I have to say, I don't know if you've heard, I've been like back on the road with my driving. And I can drive, but I hate driving. And so I bought myself a little Fiat 500, just a couple of grand to get me back on the road. And I'm
Yes.
reading that book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Anyway, totally off subject from what we're talking about, but it's that, huge anxiety of getting in the car. And I know I can drive, but I always think I'm going to die
But
or kill someone.
do you never think, when I was learning to drive, it used to always amaze me, how can so many, there's a lot of very stupid people out there that can drive very well. Surely I can figure this out.
I know, I
It's
know.
practice. You'll be fine.
And
You'll be fine.
it all went really, really well. And obviously my main thing I want to do is to just do little errands locally and drive to the gym and stuff. And Nick's been really patient with me, and he's staying in the car until I feel I've, really cracked it. 'Cause it's only been 4 or 5 days that I've been driving.
You just need to be doing it. You need a couple of long journeys
Yeah.
because you get very relaxed on the road when you're in a straight line, and then you relax into it. And then when you hit the towns and smaller places, you're already more relaxed.
I'm one of those people that has to do it in the local area. So we've been doing a lot of like the things that I would do locally. And then when I got to the gym barrier to get out of yesterday, a lot of clutch control because I've decided to go manual, and oh my God, the whole thing came down. It was very funny, but not funny because I had someone behind me and like he was putting clutch on and no handbrake on. I didn't even know the words of them all. Do you know what I mean? I was like, anyway.
Anyway,
It was very. You
yes,
have
we're
to
here.
laugh.
Hmm?
You have to
You
laugh.
you absolutely absolutely do. You absolutely
Yeah.
do.
Exactly. But anyway, right. So I was telling everyone right at the beginning, and they've probably all gone and forgotten, but we're going to be focusing on staying strong for
Yeah.
January, focusing on intermittent fasting, which I'm obsessed by. When I do it, it works so well. And then increasing protein and how we can work the amazing strong nutrients products, the key products for January to kind of help with
Yeah.
anyone who's on a bit of a weight loss journey, which most of us after Christmas have put on a few pounds.
Yeah, and certainly kind of a shaping up and feeling more kind of feeling better in yourself kind of journey, aren't we? It's sometimes it's weight loss, and sometimes it's just if you've been now many people don't, in fairness, but if you have been eating a bit of junk or drinking a bit too much, you can just not feel
Yeah,
right.
definitely. I mean, I let myself. Obviously, I partied, had lots of events and things like that, and I, you know, definitely had a few mince pies and chocolates and all the nice bits and pieces that you get for Christmas. But I also, because we had the family, I went to the gym 17 times in December.
Wow, that's impressive. That is impressive. Yeah,
I
that's
know.
impressive.
I
They,
still managed to put on 8 pounds, but imagine what it would have been like if I hadn't. But I also, to put that into perspective, when I went to the gym, I did a lot of yoga and Pilates because I've still got a bit of a back issue. It's getting better, but I've really been working on that over
yeah,
December.
very good.
Mm,
That is always helpful. Very good.
yeah.
Right. So, we're talking about protein. Do you want to ask me
Yeah,
questions, or am I just
I
launching
do.
into
I
it?
do. Okay, so let's talk about increasing protein because that's what everyone's always banging on about. Why is that so important? Why does that help with weight loss?
It's a brilliant question. I was talking to a client this morning and explaining, if I want to lose a couple of inches quickly and I don't have to try too hard and do anything too extreme, the fastest way I know to do it is get my dinner plate, increase, not decrease, increase the food on it. Now, by food, I really mean the protein end of it.
Mhm.
So it might be slightly more than I really want to eat, but deliberately have too much of it. Not worry about the vegetables and things. In other words, have them, but not worrying about how much or how little. I just have whatever I want then around it. And the minute I start doing that, I am too full after the dinner to want anything else. So it kills all the snacking in the evening. I just don't want it. I wake up the next morning full. So any kind of fasting or just, leaving a bit of a gap to breakfast is ridiculously easy.
Yeah.
It takes me quite a while before I actually do feel hungry, usually close to about midday, lunchtime. And then when I have my breakfast, I have a lower protein breakfast, funnily enough. Now, not no protein, so I'll need to clarify what that means, but by my standards, lower protein breakfast, with more fat in there. And that sustains me. And occasionally I will deliberately put, say, rye bread or something in with it. So I'm not going necessarily carb free either. And I find it's a big enough breakfast, it's not tiny. That will carry me through really nicely until I overeat on my protein again that evening. So if you saw what I ate in the evening, you'd think I was eating to gain weight. But I'm not, because it just so sustains me and keeps me steady. I don't want the carbs, I don't want the junk, I don't need to snack, I don't feel like anything else, I don't need the sweet stuff, but it's just the protein that's doing it. And if ever I find that breakfast brunch doesn't sustain me through to the evening, at about 4 o'clock I'll have something else protein based, like a small protein shake or yogurt and
Right. Yeah. Okay.
like that.
So give us an example of what that big piece of protein might be for you in your main meal.
Well, to give you an example, as some people will get this and others will hide under their table, it would be now minimum, but actually I'd be looking to go more than what I'd normally do. So I'd probably be looking at about 350 grams of fish or meat, which is a reasonable size, given that, right, you're sort of, your medium steak is usually about 220 grams, give or take.
You'd have 2 steaks?
Yes. Now, I wouldn't even, if you said to me, do I really want 2 steaks? I'd be like, no, I don't particularly. But I don't hate the idea of doing it, if you know what I mean.
My friend is doing very heavy protein and he's massive. He's like 6 foot and he's lost a lot of weight, but he shows his dinner every day and he'll have 2 steaks, when they put it all on that wooden board and make it all look really fancy, and he'll have 2 steaks and like 3 fried eggs next to it, which obviously eggs is protein as well.
It's eggs and protein with fat as well, yes. Now, to be honest, I'm eating a lot for what I would eat, and for anybody else, you just have to up what you do maybe already. And the funny thing is about it is, the way I'm doing it, it's not a bodybuilding diet. If I gave this exactly what I do to a guy who's looking to build up, he'd actually lose, because you'd need to put in a load of carbs and sugar around it to get him to bulk up.
Yeah.
So it's not dissimilar, but it's not the same, just to be clear of anyone listening. It's not a million miles away from what people are talking about, this carnivore diet. Now, I'm not advocating it, just to be clear, but
what kind of carbs would you have with that steak then? What vegetables and what carbs would you have?
I usually have some greens, and I might have some collards, so I might have some carrot and beetroot as well. I might have some, could be broccoli, could be beans, could be Brussels sprouts over the Christmas, greens. So it's a portion kind of each. And I will often, not always, even have a small amount of potatoes with it. So I'm not actually going carb free, weirdly. So this is just like a cheeky fast way to lose just a bit quickly, in my experience. There's another way of doing it, but this is my fast way of doing it, because I never feel cheated of anything when I do this. And I just don't feel like it. I just don't want it.
This is what I've been really doing this week, this last week as well, because I know from having worked with you for the last couple of years that when you add your protein in your fasting, which I am now doing at the moment, it really, really helps me just not be hungry. And cut off, because I've been trying to cut off at 8-9 o'clock, and so obviously fasting till 12 p.m. the following day, if that makes sense. So 12 till 8 is the 16, isn't it?
Carries you through. And now, if you want to lose it a bit faster, you wouldn't bother with a few potatoes or anything beside you. I said, when I say a few potatoes, sorry, I don't actually mean a few potatoes. I mean, like, I might have taken potatoes chopped up into So I'm not actually, I mean a small amount of potatoes, actually, I really mean. But
absolutely.
If you want to lose it faster, you just wouldn't bother with those carbs then at all. You just completely take them out, and that would really accelerate it again.
what we do is we have the Hello Fresh, and it's just mainly me and Nick every evening. And you know that we do the Hello Freshes. It's like it works for us because he's pescatarian and
Mm.
vegetarian. And then what I'll do is one or other of us will cook it, and I'll put a bit of chicken in the oven as well, and just a little bit of peri kind
Yeah,
of flavoring it, herbs, that herbs, nothing, no sauces, and then give him more of the HelloFresh
yes,
and just take the vegetables. And I'm still having, like, if it's like got pasta in it and stuff, I'll still have, but I'll just have less of the pasta because obviously I'm making it up with the protein. So
yes.
my plate is still the same size as what it would have been, but I'm taking away half of the whatever because obviously they come with rice, potatoes,
Yes,
whatever.
you're reducing the unnecessary kind of starchy carbs. You're keeping it to
Yeah,
small amounts. And I find that works because small amounts of carbs, the reason I like keeping a small amount of the carbs in the game is I find it's better for my energy and stamina.
yeah, because we
So I
work out.
my staying power, because I like training, I like going all day. I don't want to kind of have the flag. So I find that helps that.
And it still makes a nice meal because
Mhm.
you want to have it, you don't feel like you're missing out either,
Yeah,
because I actually feel like I'm having a nicer meal because I do love my chicken and I
yeah.
miss it. I need to go and get some little steaks, well, maybe bigger steaks, the
Do.
200, 300
You
gram
may not
steaks.
need, but I just find that's what works. This is what I'm just saying for me. Now, I don't always recommend clients do the exact same thing. It kind of depends
No,
and goes, but this is
I'd
my
love to include
fast
some
way.
steaks
But I want to do it quick.
into my diet, because then otherwise you just get like really bored of chicken by, obviously
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing this for like all of January, and by the end of January I hate chicken,
Yeah, so
so
you
I need
mix
to
it up
mix
with
it up.
any kind of fish,
Yeah.
any good sort of protein-based food. Yes,
Mm.
and that's where actually, for those who don't want to do it with that amount of fish or meat, then that's where the protein shakes and things like that come in super handy, because you can have a much smaller portion of the fish or meat, and a scoop of that protein shake is about the equivalent of 100, 120 grams of fish or meat, depending on which version of fish or meat you'll be getting.
Yeah,
So that
absolutely.
really does increase, yeah, it jumps up the protein. So you could have one to two scoops of that in anything, actually. Yes, I want to say anything liquid. You can have it in milk, you can have it in
Yeah,
nut almond milks, any of those kind of milks, oat milks, goat's milk, regular milk, water.
yeah. And you can have it as a pudding as well, because we do the whole Greek yogurt and then
Yes.
mix this in with your Greek yogurt and maybe a few little nuts and berries and
Yeah,
frozen fruits or something that you can put in, and that makes a really lovely little pudding. Again, helping when you're fasting not be hungry. I
exactly.
mean, it's 12, 12,
Exactly.
12,
And that way you
18
don't
now,
have
and
to eat.
I actually haven't had any food yet today, and I'm really not
Yeah.
hungry.
It really, really sustains you. It really sustains you. I'm just looking there. Sarah says, I always find protein shakes give me bloating. Right. Which ones?
Mm.
I'd be curious. A lot. No, the protein we have is casein. Now, I'm not going to say it doesn't or won't cause that, but out of most of them, it's, in my experience, the least likely. It depends what's causing the bloating. Personally, I was found way a bit harsher on the stomach, weirdly, than the casein. It's very alkaline. Um, so I'd have to know which protein shakes. The casein is just the exact same protein you get in cottage cheese or yogurt. And if that doesn't cause bloating, then there's no reason for that protein shake to do so. But you
Yeah.
can get pea protein ones, hemp protein ones, you can get ones with a whole mix of proteins in there, rice protein. So your body's reacting to one of those if it's causing bloating.
So
And
casein is the same as what you get in cottage cheese
yes,
and what?
and yogurt, milk,
Oh,
it's that protein.
oh.
And it is, so when you have, good old days, you had curds and whey. So the whey went one way, it was the waste product, and the curds went in with the cheese and the likes. You were left at that. So the basically the curds, casein, that's the bit
Oh,
we're getting
okay.
here.
That's interesting. I
Very
didn't know that.
alkalizing. It's very alkalizing. So if you can have cheese, Sarah, then I suspect you will get away. You know, if you can eat cheese, cottage cheese, or yogurt, and that doesn't happen, then I think you will be fine on
And
this.
and are these, Anna's asking, are protein shakes classed as ultra
No,
processed? Because that's just the new
no,
thing at the moment, isn't it?
no.
Everyone is talking about.
It's extracted. You're literally just extracting. Now, again, just to be clear, our protein shakes, we need to be clear what we're talking about here. It's a very good question, because you can get protein shakes that are a mix and a blend of a multitude of things, with extra additives in. And then you can get protein shakes that just have one very clean protein. It's an extraction of dried, and no more, no complicated than that. So this is literally just the casein extracted from the milk, dried. That's all it is. So it's not ultra processed anything. It's really just a dried protein. They haven't added, they haven't, they haven't done crazy things to it. Mm-hmm. So it's very clean.
Okay.
So it really depends. There's so many shakes out there, can get quite confusing. And it's not saying they're all bad in any shape or form. There's a lot of very, very nice ones out there, but you can get some crazy mixes.
Yeah, absolutely. And the brand we're talking about is Strong Nutrients. So couldn't quite see. Sarah was asking about which brand are we talking about,
Yes.
which is Zana's brand, and I am the brand ambassador. So and I've been taking these products for 2-3 years now, I think, isn't it? And I do definitely think they have helped me on my journey, my strong journey. We've done fasting over the years to help with the menopausal belly. I dropped nearly 2 stone with you at one point, didn't I? Because it all got really out of control. And now I'm back to my fighting weight after just a week of getting on plan. I mean, I do think obviously over Christmas it's all water, isn't it? And it's all just, like when you go on holiday and you put on a half stone,
I love
you
when
can
people
lose
say
that
it's
very
all
quickly.
water. It's not all water, no. But
What is it? What is it? What is everyone says it's all water, and
it can be some. I mean, there's no question. When people come back off flights, you can be holding, oh my gosh, you can hold 6 or 7 pounds of fluid just on one long haul flight, definitely. A quick note on the casein protein. The reason we chose it in Strong Nutrients, because there are so many proteins, and it's genuinely not knocking other ones out there. There's a lot of good ones, and some work for some people and not so much for others. And equally, there's some very good vegan proteins out there, which this is not. This is a casein-based protein. It's very good for vegetarians, wouldn't work if you're vegan, because obviously it's dairy protein. But casein protein is beautifully slow release. Now, it digests really slowly, and that is a really good thing for 3 reasons. Really good. The first is it breaks down so slowly that any protein breaks into a little bit of amino acids. There's a tiny bit of natural sugars. And when it breaks down lovely and slowly, there's no insulin rise. So anything that keeps your insulin steady helps keep cravings at bay and helps reduce belly fat, quite frankly. So it's one of the most slowly released proteins. And also, because it's released so slowly, your body has loads of time to actually get access to all these amino acids and use them. So it's the fastest way I know to firm people up. It's really good for toning more than any other protein that I've come across when I've done all this work with clients in the gyms. If anyone knows me, I used to have a number of gyms in London. We do the weighs and measures and calories. And honestly, I found if I added in the protein on top of whatever regime we had them on, you would notice the difference within about 8 days in terms of firmness, toneness, muscle versus fat. It was brilliant for that. Really did help tone. And then linked to the first point, because it's so slow release, you stay fuller for longer. It's not straight in and straight out. Everything's digested more slowly, so it really sustains you in a way I never found other protein shakes did for me. And I've been working in this industry for years, and I used to try all sorts of different powders, and I still do, quite frankly, I still do. But I found this one definitely holds its own for longer, and it's naturally high in calcium, which I think is useful. I do think it's useful, particularly for our age.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of the ladies that are joining this live that follow me are 40 plus and either perimenopausal, menopausal, postmenopausal, and I definitely feel that all of these products have helped hugely with my menopause. Definitely. I mean, I am on HRT as well, which obviously is takes a lot of the slack. But these products work so well, don't they, with midlife ladies? I think
very much, very much. I mean, at this stage in life, we're apparently losing our muscle mass, at least at the rate of about half a pound a year.
Freaks
That's
me
not
out.
just being replenished, it's just a constant decline, but that accelerates each decade. So, you know, when you're 41, you might have lost half a pound. When you're 51, it's possibly a pound. And when you're 61, it's probably two. If you like, it's depleting fast. So anything we can do to recover it, it's not actually, we're never really at this stage in life, I don't think. It's rare for someone to actually build muscle. We're just recovering what we've lost.
Really? You don't actually think
Oh,
that with like...
you can build, of course you can build. But if you think about it, if you do the maths, so we're losing approximately half a pound a year from the age of 30. By the time you're 40, you've lost 5 pounds of muscle. So if you're 40, you go into your gym, you get all your fat percentages, and suddenly you gain 5 pounds of muscle. You've actually recovered 5 pounds of muscle. You're not ahead, you're just the same as what you were when you were 30.
That's a little bit depressing.
You know what I mean? But you can say you've turned back the clock by 10 years. So that bit's quite fun.
Yes, 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 yes. And I've been on those, and apparently I'm 42, so I quite like that.
I like it. I like
Yeah,
it.
I quite
Yes,
like that.
exactly.
I'll work with that. I mean, you know, like if we could turn it back to like 22, that'd be
Wouldn't it?
amazing. But yeah, my when you also do the whole what's the flexibility, and that's why I was yeah, that's why I'm doing loads more yoga and Pilates and stuff, because my flexibility was something like 55.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, we have a problem. But anyway, so does so protein, does it actually turn, how does that work? Why does that turn into muscle?
Well,
Like,
yeah, what is the
yeah.
protein? It's a great question. It's a really good question because everyone assumes everyone should know what each of these things do. So there's 3 macronutrients. You've got protein, you've got fat, you've got carbohydrates. Carbohydrates break down into sugars, great for immediate energy. They do help insulin release, and that can be useful because insulin is a helpful hormone in small amounts. In large amounts, excessive amounts, it'll cause belly fat and all sorts of other health issues. So not all carbs are bad in any shape or form. Vegetables go into carbs, just to be clear. Fruit goes into carbs. You've got your
Fruit's
fats.
also got sugar in it as well, though, hasn't it? It's so confusing. Like, you know,
All carbohydrates break down into sugars. So even your bread and rice breaks down ultimately into
right.
sugars. So small amount of sugars are not a bad thing. I just think we're living in a world where there's probably excessive going on, and then it turns into almost a drug-like state within the body. Our fats break down into fatty acids, and they're useful for, oh my gosh, so many, from hormones to just functioning of the body generally. Fats are essential. Our brain relies on it. Again, that's a whole other conversation. Protein breaks down when your body digests it into amino acids and sugars. So this natural sugars occurring in protein, believe it or not, but not much, not a lot. And the amino acids are literally the building blocks of you, everything. From your nails to your toes, to your heart, to your eyes, to your hair, it's amino acids. Every part of you is an amino acid. And you don't get those amino acids in carbohydrate or in fat. So all this structural tissue, and if you think of aging is the structural tissue beginning to break down, a bit of a breakdown of the bone density, of the muscle mass, collagen breaks down, everything's beginning to break down and not work as well. You know, the organs aren't working as well, and nothing's working quite as well. So the amino acids and the protein are the basic structural building blocks of each of those parts of our body. I mean, even when we talk about bone density, everyone thinks in terms of calcium, and then they think in terms of, okay, what helps the calcium absorption? And think of the, you know, D3, K2, and we go through all of this list. But what people don't think of enough is the calcium in the bone binds to the protein. So if you're not getting in enough protein, it's gonna leak. You're going to lose it. So you need the protein. If you're losing, when we say we're losing muscle at the rate of half a pound a year, just to be very clear, actually, it's not muscle, it's our whole lean body mass. So it's our skin, it's our collagen, it's the protein out of the bones. So when you're replenishing it, and weight training and high intensity training is really good for stimulating the body to take up all this protein. It's almost essential. So if you can get the two working hand in hand, your body soaks it up. And that's really good for the bones as well, and for the body kind of catching the calcium, if you like, into the bones.
Right. Okay.
So yes, so protein it's the only food group that does that.
Right.
It's the only one that builds you.
Okay. So obviously we want to be replacing that muscle. We want to be losing the fat. So is that why, nicely tied in, Amino Slim works so well? Is that the same amino
Is it the same?
products as
It's
we're
nicely
talking about
tied
that's
in,
in
and the answer
protein?
is no.
Oh, I thought I was genius then.
You're
Oh,
nearly getting, but you are right in that. In fairness, you are right. Amino Slim is a single amino acid. So
right.
your protein, your casein breaks down into a whole group of amino acids, and they're the building blocks. And each amino acid on its own then is a little catalyst that can work all on its own, doing something different. So anyone who's ever had cold sores might take L-lysine. It seems to
Yes,
help prevent
me.
the herpes virus. There you go. That's an amino acid and seems to help deal with that herpes virus a little bit and helps prevent them. So all those amino acids are found within protein, but each one, when you take away from the other, seems to act like a little catalyst all on its own for some very helpful reaction within the body. And the L-ornithine, which is our amino slim there, is really, really helpful for this sort of balance that it seems to occur when we sleep and when we do high intensity training. That's the one. And indirectly, it's aiding the fat loss, particularly around the tummy. There's a whole hormonal shift that goes on when we sleep, and when you do a blitz of training like a sprint or good weight training with kind of good weights on your shoulders, you're doing squats, and you obviously feel your heart rate go up and all the rest, but there's a hormonal shift that occurs, and it's a similar hormonal shift that occurs when we sleep. There's natural releases of growth hormone, and that repairs tissue and firms everything up, and insulin levels seem to drop. And when insulin levels go down, we are able to lose belly fat much easier. It's really helpful. So it seems to help beautifully with that. And I'm always recommending when people use it to just watch the tummy line measuring tape, because often you'll see and feel the inches drop even faster than you'll see it on the scales.
Yeah, 100%, definitely. And I felt so bloated after Christmas. And I was taking this through Christmas, actually. I was. But because I was eating late into the night, I was having to take it in the morning before my gym sessions, which I know you can do, but I also know it works much harder when you take it at nighttime and you sleep on it and it works
Yeah.
while you're asleep. And because I've been fasting and not eating after 8, 9 o'clock, I've been able to take it in the evening.
Or in the
And
evening, yes.
in the
Yes.
evening, yeah.
So for anyone listening with the Amino Slim, it's a fussy little supplement, and you might have picked up when I said there it's one of the amino acids out of the whole protein kind of group. And they work, a lot of these amino acids work, as I briefly said earlier, independently of each other. If you take them with other foods, they don't work in the same way. So you have to fast. So in other words, if you go to bed at 11 o'clock, you can take it going to bed and stop eating at 8:30. 2.5 hours beforehand. You can drink water, herbal tea, or something like that, but no food.
Yeah.
And if it seems to work, from my understanding with it, within the first 3 hours of sleep at its best. So that's where it's working at its best. But occasionally I have clients that might, be out for the evening, and it's the occasion night that they're out. So they might wake up then in the middle of the night and just take it then. Or equally, they take it in the morning and it works before exercise very similarly. So you naturally fast all night, take it on rising, but for best results, if you're doing that, give it 20 minutes and then do a little blitz of something high intensity. So it could be a load of squats in your bedroom, it could be a quick sprint up the road, or it could be a trip to the gym.
Yeah.
But anything with a bit of high intensity in it, and then it will almost like it catches it and gets in behind that cycle, that naturally occurring cycle that goes on during the sleep or the training.
And how many? I'm taking at the moment before I go to bed about 4 of these. And I know you can take up to a few more. Or what do you recommend?
Definitely. 4 works very well. Just to be
Yeah.
clear, with anyone listening, it works very well, particularly if you take it consistently and don't break it. Just take it nice and, in other words, take it every night. Don't take it just randomly once every so often. A lot of my clients, I would recommend a powder. And the powder, I would start them off with half a teaspoon, which is about the equivalent of 5 capsules. And then I will increase it, if you really want to blitz it, up to a teaspoon.
Oh.
Which is the equivalent of 10 capsules.
Ooh.
And the only reason I do it with the powder, not the capsules, it's just much easier to take a teaspoon of powder than it is 10 capsules.
What do they take it with? In water?
In water. In water.
Mm.
And depending on the individual, most will find it has a slight taste, just being straight up, like a very slight aftertaste. So if I ever take it, I take it with a small shot glass of water, and then I just down a quick glass of water afterwards, and that's fine. And then you get one or two clients that says, no, it has a strong taste, and others that say it didn't have any taste whatsoever. I don't know what anyone's talking about. So I think it's a bit like Marmite. It depends on the individual.
Yeah, I personally wasn't so good with the spoonfuls of it. I
Yeah.
really wasn't. But that's also probably because I'm lazy. I like just easy,
Yes.
neck it back with water, etc., etc. I'm everything I do as quickly as I possibly can, and
Yes.
so capsules work for me personally.
Yeah.
But if you are looking to take more than the 4, then that seems like you wouldn't want to like neck 10 of those, would you? And also it must be a more cost effective way of doing it with
The powder,
the powder.
definitely. The
Yeah,
powder is much more cost effective.
yeah.
Yes. Much more.
And
Much more.
what do I brush my teeth first, then I then take the powder in a small amount of water.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alison. There was another question earlier which I thought was really interesting. What are good timings to do training, if I could even read, after protein
Intake.
intake? A few hours
There's,
after?
there's a few lines of thought on this. If you're keeping your strength training to a relatively, I say relatively short time, like you're not spending hours in the gym, but if you pulled it all together, it was say under a 40-minute session. And if you're very interested in the fat loss as well, if a bit like the Amino Slim, very similar to the Amino Slim, if you've a nice gap away from food, either side of the training, you get this lovely release of growth hormone and hormones that really build the muscle, and insulin levels go down lovely and low. So really good for the fat loss. So my recommendation with clients for the shorter kind of proper training sessions was perfection would be don't eat for 2 hours either side. 1 hour either side gap works super well. Now, if the goal is just sheer muscle building and bulking up, then I think taking protein with a bit of carbs, because weirdly the insulin can help shuttle that protein into the muscle. So if you say, listen, I've got really no belly fat, and I'm really just looking to build muscle as quickly as I can, then I might go the protein sooner. And I'd actually even go with a bit of, deliberately have a small amount of carbs in it, like a banana or something like that in it. And you'll firm up faster, but it wouldn't be as good for the fat loss in my experience.
Right. Okay. So I'm normally so for me personally, I'll probably go to the gym about 9 o'clock, do weights, step, spin, whatever is the class that I'm doing that day. I haven't eaten, and then I come home and I'm probably there for a couple of hours. I might stay in the gym and have like a coffee and work on my
Yeah.
phone, because it's a really nice place to be rather than working from my own house. I just end up sitting there for a while. And then, yeah, maybe, then I wouldn't eat until 12ish, which is probably quite standard for me. But the bit where the fasting I've kicked in stronger now is obviously to stop eating at 8, 9,
Yes.
whereas before there
Yes.
may be a couple of extra little snacks that happened after
Yeah.
8, 9 o'clock, and not always good snacks, naughty snacks like bits of chocolate and all
When
that
it
kind of stuff. But that's all
comes to,
stopped at the moment.
I think when it comes to shape and energy, now energy as well, I think it's really important to emphasize this. I think by avoiding the snacking, and I'm not saying this is the first time, because sometimes we snack thinking you get my energy levels up, but all you're kind of doing is that roller coaster again. I think if you can get a bit like we were saying earlier, that protein intake up in the evening to carry you through so that you're not having to snack, it makes all the difference in the world to both shape and energy, your general stamina. Because I think we underestimate how much work your body has to do every time you eat. There's a whole digestive system that has to go into play, regardless of how much or how little. And particularly if it's kind of snacky food, there's nothing in it that's going to really energize you. So you're eating
Not
food
rabbits. That's what I've been
yeah,
reading about snacking. And I think snacking is like probably, you taught me so much about how bad snacking is for me that it's just, I just don't do it unless it's part of that meal. When I'm on a fitness, when I'm really being good, obviously I snack and have like bad bits and pieces here
yes.
and there. But when I'm like focused as I am right now in January for 30 days, I'm giving it my all. I will not be snacking unless it's like an add-on to the end of that
Yes.
meal.
Yes,
I'm
and
probably
just have it as a
having,
meal. If you want, quite frankly, if you want some chocolate ice cream at the end of the meal, have it, but have it with the meal. Have it as part of.
yeah,
And weirdly, then at least you'll get some benefit out of it. I mean, am I saying you'll get benefit from it? Yes, because weirdly, the sugars at the end of the meal again will increase the insulin a little bit. It will help you utilize the protein you've just eaten better. And because you've just eaten, the sugar doesn't hit, as most of them will have heard by now. If you don't have them on their own, if you have this sugar just with or immediately after the meal, it doesn't hit the bloodstream as fast. So you don't get that big insulin surge, you just get a little one. So it makes a big difference. So it's not about how much you eat. It's almost not even about what you eat. It is a little bit, obviously, but that's not what we're really saying. It's where you eat it and when and how.
absolutely. In terms of like that coffee I drank earlier, I was drinking, that had a big tablespoon of my protein shake in the coffee. I had it because obviously I knew we weren't going to be finishing until,
Yes.
like, and I was just taking away a little bit of, I was starting to get a little bit hungry, to be fair, and I just so I popped it in my coffee. In a minute I'm going to have some eggs, on 2 boiled eggs on 1 piece of brown toast.
Yeah.
And that will be like my lunch. So that coffee I had at 12 o'clock when we went live, and now I'm going to eat at 12:45.
Yeah.
Obviously, does that get classed as a snack because it's got protein in it, or how?
Um,
Because normally
it,
I would have a black
it's
coffee up till
yeah,
breaking the
it would be
fast.
classed as a small meal.
Right.
It would, but there's a touch of common sense about this. In the sense of, so would you break your fast with it? Definitely, because it's protein. But for me, if you just consider, so I wouldn't be worried how many times you eat in a day, if that makes sense. Okay, obviously, if you're trying to do the fast, then you're eating a number of times in that 8 hour window. But I'm never worried with clients if they eat twice, 3 times, 4 times, as long as in their mind they recognize this is now a little meal. So I almost just kill the word snacking. And if it's a protein based meal, great.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like I was saying at the beginning. When I normally will go from my breakfast brunch through to my evening meal, but occasionally there's going to be days that either for some reason, like what you're just saying here, I'm going to have to eat later, or for some reason at 4 I am feeling now a bit hungry, and I know if I eat something it'll sustain me through. So then I'm thinking in terms of protein shakes or protein based meals, like maybe a small salad but with protein, or maybe some yogurt with some nuts. So a protein based meal. So it's what people might consider a snack, but in my head, no, it's a miniature meal. I'm thinking it through. I'm not just sort of grabbing as I walk past.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was a quite an unusual example for me, because I wanted to have it in here, and I wanted to talk to you guys about how I have it, a little bit of protein in my coffee. And that coffee, as it's hot, that's not killing the protein or anything, is it? The
It's,
protein powder?
well, it's a good question. It's going to
Yeah,
denature the protein,
right,
but think about it. Cooking an egg or meat or anything is denaturing the protein.
right.
And that goes into a whole other field, which I never get into because it becomes a minefield where you do get some who argue we should be eating everything raw. I'm not going to go into that argument. So, yes, it's denaturing it, but no, it's not killing it.
Okay,
It's common sense it's denaturing it because it's changing its form a bit, if you know what I mean.
so,
An egg goes from, when the egg white goes from clear to white, we've denatured it.
because to take, I mean, what are the numbers? How much protein am I supposed to take? I'm like 10.5 stone. It's something like,
So 140, 147 pounds, which is about, usually I go this into kilos, which is around 70
that's it. I've just
kilos.
forgot.
So we're
That's
about, yeah, you want to be taking about 100. This is me doing loose calculations in my head, so apologies, I may have my maths a bit wrong, but I think it's around 100 to 105 grams of protein a day.
Yeah. So that's quite a lot. That's hard to do, especially when you live with a vegetarian slash pescatarian. So, that is actually very hard to do. So 2 eggs and then a big spoonful of that with my coffee at the same time, and 1 piece of brown toast. That's about 40 grams of protein-ish, isn't it? Which is
Yeah, so
nearly half of what I
exactly.
need.
An egg, for anyone listening, if you don't know this, an egg has about 7 grams of protein in it. A scoop of the protein shake, depending on which flavor, has between 24 and 28 grams of protein in it. So it's the easiest way to quickly top up on the protein intake.
Yeah. And the discount code, if someone is asking, we have a discount
Yes,
code.
indeed.
I'm just putting it in the comments, and it is Alice12. So yes, there is a discount code. It's Alice12.
Yes.
Anyway, I could chat to you for absolutely ages, and it's 1:45 now. So I know we had a bit of a dodgy start, but
We
I
got
don't know
there.
how long people would sit and watch this, now or after when we save it as a live. So I would say that might be quite a good way to pause.
Yes.
I feel like we need to do more lives, Zana. I think that we could do 2 a month rather
I
than one
think
a
we
month.
probably could. I mean, I'm sure we could chat about anything, but let's get some useful things out there too.
No, definitely. And I do go off piste a little bit, so apologies, but I think it's just kind of bringing it into a normal
Perspective.
person everyday life on how we kind of do these things, because previously when we first started talking about fasting, I was like, I could never do that, but now it's pretty much I do it without even
Yeah.
thinking. I just have to focus in a little bit more when I want to get better results.
Yeah. And for anyone listening thinking of doing fasting, the way I always view it is just remember your day starts the evening before. So whatever you've done the evening before is what's affecting you this morning. So if
Yes.
you say you can't do it, you're too hungry, your question has to be, what did I eat last night? If it was very high carbs, you'll be very hungry early. If it's, and this is back to what we're saying at the very beginning, I find when I just increase the protein, so you can do it with fish or meat, or you can do it with a protein shake at the end of the meal. You don't have to do it the way I mentioned. I've currently been doing it. I play with it. But if you get enough protein in the evening, you won't be hungry. You're just not.
And then also that first meal in the morning, make sure it's got protein in it and not. I used to have a fruit salad or a banana, and obviously that was giving me an insulin spike to then make me hungry throughout the day. So now it is boiled eggs or yogurt, protein
Yeah,
shake, etc.
yeah,
Those types of things.
she's got it. Brilliant. Well, thank you very, very much for having me. I hope it was
Yeah,
helpful for some.
yeah, I learn so much every time, and you must be going, I told you this so many times already. It's a slow burn with me, with things going in and actually realizing, oh why, that's why. But yes, love it. Brilliant. Thank you everyone for joining. We've had lots of people here today, so I'm delighted, and I'm going to try not to fuck this up and save it so that it goes on all of our grids, and you can watch it later in your own time.
Thank you.
Lots of
Bye-bye.
love. See you later. Bye.